PBA recently had the pleasure of hosting Atlas Engineering Products CEO President Dirk Maritz for our PBA at Noon webinar. AEP is listed on the TSX under the symbol AEP. We had an overwhelming response from you, our attendees, so we wanted to circle back with Dirk and answer all your questions. Hi, Dirk. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Sophie. Good to be back.
Excellent. So let's get right into it. Obviously, a lot of the questions during our webinar were about acquisitions. So one of the question and the theme that kept coming up was, do you anticipate other acquisitions in the next couple of months?
Sophie, I want to reiterate this. AEP is a high growth company. We're on a mission consolidating a multi-billion-dollar industry. That's what we do. But we also have a mandate, and our first mandate is to grow organically. Over the next number of months and into 2021, yes, absolutely, we have a number of other acquisitions and targets that we're looking at. But we're also extremely prudent, making sure that there's decent due diligence being done, et cetera, because we're only buying really good quality, high profit assets.
Well, actually, and that brings us to our next question. How do you accredit these acquisitions before you pursue them? What are some of the criteria that AEP is looking for?
We have what we call a set of SMART criteria. This includes, first of all, what is our desired footprint? Where do we want to be? What are the spots, the market penetration and representation that we want to have? For example, today we have now businesses in Lower Mainland BC. We have a business on the island. We have a business in Ontario, 3 businesses in Ontario, geographically spread, and we have one in Manitoba. We're on a mission to actually grow that footprint. And then within that footprint, it's not only about the footprint that you have, it's what you do with it. Then strong organic growth through product diversification, market penetration, et cetera. So geographic location is our number 1 criteria. The second one is this a profitable business? We're not buying or doing share sale purchases on non-profitable businesses, et cetera. So from that perspective, we typically want to see some form of profitability and see how that is going to contribute overall to the group. Number 3 is the market and the market characteristics. There's no point in buying in a market where everything is at a high and you're paying too high multiples for the business either. So we want to look at that. We want to look at, which brings me to the 4th criteria. We want to look at the EBITDA multiples that we can negotiate a deal in. We're not looking at highly priced deals that's going to add little, if any, value to our shareholders over a period of time. We're looking at the equipment, the condition of the business, the equipment, the facilities. Those are, and then very, very, very important, the quality of people that we're bringing on board. At the end of the day, any one of us, we can buy equipment. And with a little bit of hard work, we can even buy market share. And we can actually go and do that. The one thing that you cannot buy consistently is good quality relationships and people that's going to drive the business forward. So a very important piece of our acquisition criteria as well.
Great. And so to touch on, you mentioned EBITDA, but what is your target return on an acquisition?
Not every location and acquisition, unfortunately, is born equally. When you're looking at, for example, the acquisition criteria that I mentioned to you, if you're going to be looking at expanding into an area, for example, where there are different market characteristics, different design parameters, maybe different building code, etc., etc. All of these things have got a big influence on it. What I can tell you is that we typically want to be buying the businesses that we are in that sort of a lower single-digit EBITDA ranges.
Okay.
And from that perspective, that is where we focus a lot of time and attention to, because we really believe that over a period of time, because of the company expanding its footprint, its revenue profile, its profitability profile over the next number of years here, you're going to see significant EBITDA expansion and in the valuation from shareholders over time.
So why do you think these M&A opportunities are coming up at this time?
So it hasn't been coming up at this time. It is just more attractive and has higher, how can I put it, opportunities at this point in time that's coming in a lot more competitively. Valuations are at a great space at this point in time. That being said, you need to remember the characteristics of the industry. Over 300 players that has been in business for potentially, I would say 10, 15, 20, 30, and some of the businesses that we've bought 40 years plus. They've been in the family for a generation at least, and maybe for a second. But the owner has worked hard. He wanted the kids to actually become doctors and lawyers, and they did. No, and they don't want to, there's no succession to do. There's not a lot of people standing ready to buy trust plants and wool manufacturing businesses, etc., etc. I think from that perspective, AEP offers an opportunity for these owners to monetize their lifelong work and actually head into a retirement over a period of time, so that they can actually go and enjoy the fruits of their labor. AEP is doing that, is standing in the gap for that succession story.
Well, that's a great opportunity for AEP and shareholders. So just two more questions. Can you elaborate on any new products you are considering?
I can only collaborate at this point in time on the products that we have already rolled out.
Okay.
18 months ago, when I joined this organization, over 95% of the revenue profile of this business was out of roof trusses. During the last 18 months, we have expanded and grown our engineered wood business. And in some locations, what we did was we did it smartly. We didn't just go and take it and roll it out at all operations. We really put an effort into one area like Western Canada. Today, some months, up to 50% of our revenue profile is coming out of engineered wood.
Wow.
In another location, in Eastern Canada, we actually had wool plant equipment. We fixed it up a little bit. We worked a couple of projects there. And last year, I mean, I've talking about this a lot. We've done a little bit of work in subdivisions with pre-manufactured walls. And I'm not talking modular homes. I'm talking high-end subdivision development. We've done a small boutique hotel in Michigan. And we really sort of got our ducks in a row. Right now, as we speak, we're actually bringing that technology into Western Canada. So we're getting to the point where we can actually supply our client the full lockup package. We can supply them with floors, pre-manufactured walls, windows, roofs, hang the doors, and actually hand them a key and say, at the end of the day, our builder can hand the main contractor a key and say, there's the door keys. You can have your first draw.
That's impressive. And so to wrap it up, I want to come back to the recent acquisition. If you could talk a little bit about that, and also how much you paid for it and what their expectations are for that acquisition as well.
So we've been looking around on Lower Mainland BC for a good acquisition opportunity for quite some time. And during the recent pandemic, it became more and more evident that the BC market was actually superbly robust Hence, we're bringing the wall lines here, etc., etc. I mean, up to the end of May, the BC market home sales actually grew 3.5%. Now, so just think about that. Let that sink in. So that is, we had to fast track that. During this period, we've identified a smaller player. This smaller player was one of the profile candidates that I spoke to earlier. He really wanted to exit the business and really go into retirement and spend time with family and friends. And what we have decided is to actually just acquire selected assets and to use the facility. And we entered into a very lucrative, very well-priced lease agreement with the owner. Doing that, upgrading that equipment, and identifying some other idle equipment through the group that we're refurbishing, putting into that business, we really believe that we can have a business that does deliver the same sort of volumes as our flagship Nanaimo operations. That's going to be over a number of months now. And we're going to make sure that we do that. It's a beautiful opportunity. It's low cost entry into a very robust and strong market for us in Lower Mainland BC. And we're entering that at a super low cost. That's the acquisition.
Well, that's phenomenal. And that was it for the questions that we had. I don't want to take up any more of your time, but thank you so much for coming back on and chatting with us. And we'll be sure to keep our shareholders and your investors abreast of any new information that's coming up. And maybe we'll have an opportunity to chat again.
Awesome. Sophie, thank you so much. Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.